You're seeing the fact that it's not going up. It has plateaued and now it's starting to come down. Okay, and that there gets a point where you look at a stock, Mark, and you go, okay, beep, 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 and then once that starts to plateau, and this rarely happens a lot in the stock market. It doesn't really plateau much longer. It goes down. It doesn't really go across. It goes beep, boom. It just starts dropping on you. Okay. And then it'll rise up a little bit and it'll go back down a little bit. And then it'll rise up and then shoot down. That's where I feel like we are. We're starting to come down. We've seen this movie. Okay. We've seen this happen too many times. And I don't necessarily have the answers as to what's going to actually happen. Hey, phone call. Well, I don't know, and I don't have all the answers, Mark. But as of right now, I think it's just time, man. You've seen this team, and the crazy part is, Mark. I'm gonna be bluntly honest with you. The talent flashes. So for people who try to say that, oh, we're not a talented team, we don't have this, we don't have that, there hasn't been a chance, excluding the Bama game, where Miami did not have the more talented team on the football field. But you saw the more well-coached, the better football culture and the togetherness beat this team one time and almost beat this team last week against Appalachian State. They just didn't have the horses at the end and made some key drops. As you have alluded to, who knows what happens if their wide receivers make those two last catches, and now there's a field goal kick. So it's just that simple. So I don't necessarily blame Coach Diaz, if I'm being bluntly honest with you. If someone offered you your dream job, of course you take it, regardless of if you're prepared for it or not, if you're ready for it or not. I have continuously said, if we want change here at the University of Miami football athletics, you have to be as a united front, and we need to move on from athletic director Blake James. It's just that simple. Because if you get rid of the top, then all else will change. Everyone else is going to be re-interviewed. Everyone else is going to be sat down with their results next to it and say, okay, this isn't good enough. We're going to be opening this job up soon. So either you get your head out of your behind and get things changed, or here's a pink slip. God bless. Have a great day. I'll send you a Christmas card. Okay, that's what needs to happen at Miami in the athletic department. It's just that simple.
Every big time football program that I hear from, and I mean the big time programs that are exceeding at that level, there's only a few. When they talk about why they're able to win at that level, they talk about having buy-in from the top, all the way that there's got to be a commitment from the very top to say, we're not ashamed of saying, even though we're here for academics and we have an institution and a school, we are not ashamed to say we want to be a championship caliber elite football program. So we are all in, facilities, money, the football staff's going to be as big as it needs to be. All of that is they're going to get whatever they need to excel in football.
And I don't think you see that. Now, the other thing you have to admit to yourself, and I'm speaking to us as Canes fans, is we were never going to be that at Miami. We have been successful in spite of. And that goes back to the U and the U part two. And it just that's what it goes back to, is that conversation as far as the administration at the University of Miami has never wanted an elite football program. They don't mind cashing those checks. Okay, they don't mind getting the TV deals. They don't mind that stuff. But what it requires to be at that level, they do not want to do, and they will not do. Okay, but then last offseason, some things started to happen. They started opening the bag a little more with assistants, opening the bag a little more with a coordinator. Okay, if you look at it right now, Rhett Lashley is the highest paid Miami Hurricanes offensive coordinator in school history. He's currently on our staff. So what that means is there was a conversation had to open it up a little bit, right? To start having those things. So we're going to see. We're going to see what happens. As of right now, I've had plenty of people come and say, well, Wholesome, what if he finishes out 9-3? Irregardless, I feel as though your AD needs to move on. That's a done deal, in my opinion. The athletic director needs to go. All right. We could have a conversation about Coach Diaz at the end of the season. But in my opinion, I think clean house completely. From top to bottom. You need to walk in like it's Kmart and Sears just bought it. Meaning Kmart is gone. There's nothing in here that says Kmart, and it's an open building. You can come in and put all your stuff in and go from there. That's where I am when it comes to it. And again, people have said, you're overreacting. It's only the third game of the season. Just take some time and understand. This has been a defensive experience from 2016 all the way to now. It peaked in 2017 and statistically peaked in 2018. It's been on a steady decline in performance since then. Okay, 2018, we had the third-ranked passing defense, but we went 7-6, so it didn't mean much. Okay, we've had plenty of people go into the NFL with pass rushers and a couple linebackers, well, one linebacker, and a couple defensive backs and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, Mark, it's not getting any better. And I understand that Coach Diaz is sort of a politician. He knows how to run his mouth. It sounds really good. It comes off really well. At the end of the day, man, you have to look at what your eyes are telling you, not what he's telling you, not what statistics he can throw in your face and make it sound good, because you can find statistics to make it look just as worse. Mark, we've missed 66 tackles in 3 weeks. We had 33 missed tackles against Michigan State in one game, Mark. And he's the defensive coordinator. He has been handpicking these young men to come here via transfer or high school to come here and play defense for him. It's over. And if he magically flips it and turns it on his neck and we boom for a 9-win victory, of course I would be happy, but I don't see that being an honest possibility. And we can't keep running into this wall and expecting it to fall over when you could just open the door and walk through it. You don't have to keep running into the wall. Let's have a great, God bless him, I think he's a good person. He's a God-fearing man. He comes from a solid family. I'm not attacking Manuel Diaz, the human being. What I'm saying is Manuel Diaz, as the head coach at the University of Miami, right now in 2021, I believe it's time for us to seek shelter elsewhere and for him to go to some other institution and maybe restart at La Tech or Mississippi State and really get his things together and maybe come back at this at a different angle some later time in his life.
Now, in terms of the athletic director, it all depends on what the administration views as success, whatever they want out of that position. So if that means just we want to make money, and to your point that you made earlier, you can go across the country, and especially at Miami. Miami would be one of the places you would be able to do this more easily because there's so much talent there, and just say, it's almost impossible for us to be bad. We can be mediocre just because we're going to get a certain level of recruit here. So we don't really need to put that much into it. And we'll continue to sign the ACC national TV contract and get all the bowl revenue and get all the regular season TV revenue and everything. And if we go 7-5 every year. It's not an embarrassment. It's what it is. And, people come to the games and we got our TV money and we're okay with that.
Right. And that's what it seems like we're seeing. It seems as though that's what we're seeing and it's been honestly open and talked about, Mark. This board of trustees views the University of Miami as Baylor. That's what they want to be. They want to be Baylor. 7, 8 wins, do well in the Coastal, don't embarrass us, and you'll keep your job. And for me, I could see why you do something like that. But on the other hand, I don't, because there's just no reason to be that bad and to want to be that average. Just doesn't really make sense to me. But I guess that's probably why I'm a fan wearing the clothes, and there's people there who actually work there,
Yeah.
because it just doesn't make sense.
And you're also, and many of us are, even if we don't have the talent to have kept our careers going, our athletes in our hearts at whatever level we competed. Therefore, there's a level of competitive spirit, will to win, desire to win, versus just, okay, this is a business. We make money. Team went 7-5. We made X number of millions of dollars this year. That's good enough. We're running all these other departments at a university. That's just one of them. And as long as it's meeting whatever our requirements are for it, then that's what it is. But we see it as this is competition on the field, and we want to be the best.
And I think we have a bunch of players who feel that way also. But culture isn't just about the young men on the field. It's about what the coaches create. And I truly believe we are creating a very bad culture from the head coach down. Now, there's plenty of videos of former players being interviewed and being just disgusted. Players not being allowed to come back and speak to the team, players not being allowed to be on the sideline. I understand COVID-19. I understand a lot of that stuff right now, but it doesn't make sense because everywhere else players are welcome. Like, you watch the Bama Miami game, and all up and down their sideline are guys who just left Bama last year, literally standing on the sideline amongst the players. Miami side had nobody. And then when they are at the home games, they got to stand in the players. They got to stand in a box. They're not even allowed to come and mingle with the players.
And this is something that you see at all the big time schools now, where if it's a bye week, you see their NFL players show up and everything. But I got to say, and I might be wrong on this because I didn't keep track of it, but just if memory serves me correctly, Miami was the first one that I remember seeing and just thinking, oh, look at all these NFL players showing up at the games. And then the other schools copied that and probably started to reach out and think that, that's a good thing to have Warren Sapp and Michael Irvin showing up at your games. Okay, we're going to have our big time players from the past show up. But I might be wrong on that, but Miami's by far and away the first one I remember doing that.
You know who also used to do that? Tallahassee. Like, you would have both sidelines would be full with NFL, eliteness, where they're playing tomorrow. They're playing the Dolphins tomorrow, so that's why a lot of them are there. Or regardless, they just gonna catch a flight and be there no matter what. Cheyenne, I have yet to get a chance to listen to the Earl Little Sr. interview. I know it's gonna be bad. I just know it's gonna be bad because he's very disappointed in what's happening at Miami. And Mark, that's where it just gets to a point for me. It starts to overflow. It's how are our alum just so disappointed, and we'll see. We'll see. I don't want it to be just like a somber, sad live, but it's just like you come from being A game that was so close. It was right there. You had multiple chances to catch the ball for big time first downs and touchdowns, and we weren't doing it. There was a chance that I believe Miami could have been up 24-3 at the end of the first. 21. No, 24. Dropped the touchdown and a field goal. And at the end of the first quarter, it was 14. So you would have been up 24. So there was a chance right there to really just catch it and be on a different out in front of them, but you didn't. And you could attack Will Mallory, you can go at Mike Harley. I'm deciding that it's not about them because we all know if they were Gators, if they were Bulldogs, if they were Bama Roll Tide, if they were Longhorn, whatever, these guys would be on a different level and be viewed on a different light. And speaks even more to the fact that the University of Miami had 8 months to show up for that Bama game and even look competitive. The Florida Gators had 2 weeks while they were playing USF and FAU. And although, yes, Bama jumped out on them, and Nick Saban's going to use this, and he's going to hammer it home, finishing games because they had a nice lead. They had multiple 3-and-outs, which allowed Florida to stick in the game. They made one big play. The swamp exploded, and bomb, it's right there. They were a 2-point conversion away from taking the number one team in the country to overtime.
Or they were a missed extra point before that away from not having to go for a 2-point conversion and just kicking the extra point and going to overtime.
You see, it's like, how? Mark, but over and over, over and over and over and over again. You see this? We're going to see. We'll see, Mark. We'll see. It hurts. It hurts a lot because when you love this football program and you've studied the young men who've come through it, and you just don't understand why. You just don't. And I know for a fact Ohio State fans will never feel like this about their program. I know Michigan fans might because they feel like we have all this investing. We have a nice solid recruiting base. We're in a very good conference. Why can't we ever get over the hump? I understand that. But to hear your administration say, let's be Baylor. To hear your administration say things such as, we're an 8-win program. And it's like, those are the people who are directly responsible for the success of your program. And that's how they think about you. Not how the fans think, not how the players think, maybe not even how some of those coaches view the University of Miami. But the administration looks at it like that. And I still don't understand to this day, Mark, how is it that money seems to be the root of all of your success or failures? And it's just this simple. If you invest in something that is lucrative and can give you money, it's going to bring it back to you. Maybe sometimes 10 times fold. Okay, still the most highest rated game watched is Miami Notre Dame 2017. The TV revenue, the sold out, first time we sold out Hard Rock ever was right there, all that money. You don't think if you had a consistently good big time program, you wouldn't be able to have the ACC be able to negotiate even more money on your TV contract deal? You don't think you would get more money from ticket sales? So if you were to invest and actually be good, who knows how much money you actually would make? But
And we also know that enrollment is tied to football success. Whether it should be or not is another question, but it spikes based on football success.
Mark, this hurts, man. this hurts, and it just digs a hole in your heart, man. Just digs a hole in your heart because it's not supposed to look like this. It's not. It's not supposed to be this bad. Now, Mark, if we were 9-4, that's too many over. 9-3, 10-2. We lose a couple big games a year, but we look good. We look solid. And I know people hate hearing this, but if you were Wisconsin, to where it's like, dude, you don't want to come and play us. And you might get us because you're just a little bit more talented than us, which we would never be Wisconsin because of the talent that we would be able to have. But as far as your structure, your discipline, all right, being able to have their offensive line, we're you, whatever you want. We could be running back you, we could be wide receiver you, could be tight end you, linebacker you, safety you. There's so much opportunity right there. But if you had a structure, if you had discipline, if you had togetherness, a culture, and unity, all of these things, white, black, Spanish, tall, short, don't matter. If you had a true culture, Miami would be a very successful. I'm not saying Miami has to be number one in the country for the next 10 years, but at least not only look serviceable, but look like a tough damn out. You're like, God, you got to play the Miami Hurricanes, man. They're going to be disciplined. They're not going to beat themselves. They're going to be a little fired up, a little in your face, but that's okay because it's the sport. They're not going to do anything too flashy to where they get penalties. They're going to play as a unit. They got great communication in the secondary. They got a really solid offensive line, maybe not the height that you would want, but athleticism is really nice. They got some nice pass protectors on the outside who average about 6'4", 6'5". They can't get the 6'6" guys because those guys go to Georgia and Bama. On the defensive side of the ball, they got some really nice D tackles, but they flying off the edge at defensive end. At linebacker might be a little small, but they're fast and strong and stout at the point of attack. In the secondary, great communication and the catching the football. You don't want to play this team. But that's not what we get. We get 4 stars who trust their life and limb to this program, and we give them 6th round. And a Belk Bowl loss to South Carolina. I mean, Chip Kelly left Oregon, did he not? Eventually, you want to have success. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't know if USC is going to come back like this. But if they make the right hire, you could chop all of the uniforms up. You could chop the nice little field up. You could put it in a box and send it to 9-4. Because I'm telling you right now, if USC comes back to college football, nothing's touching it. Nothing. They would be the Mecca faster than you could say, Mom, help me. Because this is about to get bad if USC comes and gets everything rolling, builds a nice staff, and they can click. Okay, and then we'll have to switch to West Coast Standard Time, okay, because then they'll be on the prime time ABC kickoff game, and in the East Coast, we'd be in trouble. That's just how powerful USC is, okay? Najee Harris, Tua Tagovailoa, all those guys are West Coast guys. They would be Trojans. They wouldn't be Alabama Crimson Tide. Bryce Young, West Coast guy. He'd be a Trojan if they were rolling right now, okay? Jalen Phillips, Miami Hurricanes defensive end, would be a Trojan if they were rolling right now. Just understand and keep in mind, okay? When that program comes from the shambles, they're number uno. They're number 1, all right? And I could argue Miami would be up there in the conversation, but based on money and things of that nature, I think they would be a little higher than Miami, in my opinion, because of the staff that they could build. Okay, but with both of those jobs being open, let's say Miami gets USC's 2nd or 3rd choice. To me, that's still an elite hire, in my opinion. Let's say James Franklin, USC says no to him. Who knows? Hugh Freeze, USC says no to him. He could come down to Miami. Lane Kiffin, yada, yada, yada. Those are kind of like your fantasy up there in the fantasy realm and things of that nature. But I think you could also have a point where people would be able to use the other job to leverage the job, where they say, hey, you don't hire me here, I'm going to Miami. I'm going to kick your ass in a couple of years. You know what I'm saying? I'll see you in the playoffs if I go down there, or vice versa. hey, you don't want to hire me? I'm in line for the interview at USC in a week and a half here. So if you want to take your time and go through your whole coaching search, University of Miami, Lane Kiffin's going to be on a plane to USC here soon. So I think it would be a great back and forth to have both of them open at the exact same time. So, like I said, Luke Walker's laughing at me. Like I said, it's more of a fantasy thing. I don't necessarily see Miami as being this great, beautiful bride or great, beautiful girl at prom as much as we used to be. But we can easily turn back into that if we get the right trainer, meaning the right coach, to pull things back in order for Miami.
So you studied the film, and the film is no different against App State because they dropped a couple passes and weren't able to attempt the game-winning field goal. But from a perception standpoint and from a hot seat standpoint and what the administration might be willing to do, just imagine if one of those two passes would have been caught for 15 or 20 yards and then App State's in field goal range and Miami's sitting at 0-3. Can you imagine 0-3 right now?
It feels like 0-3. It feels like 0-3. I mean, you went out there and put the game on the line with a freshman who made a kick. He missed a chip shot against Michigan State, but that happens. He's a freshman. And it narrowed, like it was right there, Mark. Inch to the left and doing loss. I just.
There's our guy, Hurricane Logan.
Logan. What's up?
Our last 4 head coaches aren't head coaches anymore. Look at the bottom line.
The Board of Trustees and AD.
Oh, Board of Trustees and the AD, tired of the new coach talk every year. That was something, I don't know if you remember, just about a month ago that I mentioned on here, that if you look at every head coach at Miami since Butch Davis, Mark Richt is the only one that's accomplished anything notable anywhere. And obviously he was at the end of the line and decided he was obviously, now that we can look back on it, worn out and done and didn't, probably in his head gave it his best, but just wasn't the same coach he was 5 years earlier. But he's the only one that's a coach that has coached and succeeded at a big time level. Everybody else since Butch Davis, and we're going back to 1999, 2000. That was a long, long time ago. Nobody has shown that they have been capable of handling a big-time football program anywhere before Miami or after Miami.
Preach, Mark.
You can't go to any other football program in the country and see that track record.
Preach, Mark. just keep on going, Mark.
You can't.
Cut up, Mark. Keep going. Because I will continue to say this, Mark. You have to try to be this damn bad.
With the players that you have in those counties, those 7 or 8 counties around Miami, yes, you do.
You have to.
You're not Kansas State where you got to go hunt for players. You got to go to Texas and you got to travel thousands of miles to go find players.
You have to try to be this bad. You have to deliberately ignore certain hires to be this bad.
I saw a statistic after the game that I don't remember what year. All you have to do is add up the games. It's about 150 games. So that's about 12 football seasons. So it's about 2008. Since that time, Miami is 76-71. That's you break that down, that's 7-7. That's very, if I know Miami fans don't want me to do this because I did a similar video like this a couple off seasons ago. But if I would take that into context against the rest of the nation and line up everybody's winning percentages, I bet that's like 76-71 You got to figure everybody schedules FCS and low end group of 5 teams on their schedule. North Carolina State's the master of this. They go 3-5 or 4-4 in the ACC. They play nobody outside the conference. And so they go 7-5 and they go to a bowl game. So it's not hard to go 7-5 if you've got a decent football program. And you're 76-71. That's got to be 50th in the country.